Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, I think it's Judge, wait, is it Judge Wolf next?
Yes, I think so.
Go ahead, Judge.
All right, thank you very much. I'm Judge Matt Wolf, and I'm running for the Commonwealth Court. I am the only judge in the race. There's one other candidate on the Democratic side. That's Brian, who just talked to you all. And then two other candidates on the Republican side. I'm the only judge in the race. I've been a judge for 5 years and a couple of months. I was elected in 2017 with Democratic City support out of Philadelphia. And during my tenure as a judge, I focused on equity and access to justice. I was asked to serve as the supervising civil judge in 2020 at the height of the pandemic. And it was anticipated at that time, because people couldn't work, that a lot of people would be evicted. One of the courts that I supervise is the landlord-tenant court in Philadelphia. So what I did was, as the architect of the court-ordered eviction diversion program, I really stopped the tidal wave of evictions by ordering landlords to take part in pre-filing mediation. We had hundreds of millions of dollars available from the federal government, and the concern was that landlords wouldn't take advantage of the program and get money from the federal government. Studies of our court by the Pew Charitable Trust showed that there's an equity issue coming out of our court. The judgments that are entered in our court have a disproportionate impact on Black and Hispanic single female heads of households. And that's a study that was done and ended the study period of 2018, covered 5 years of our court. With that knowledge, I was able to make sure that we had the eviction diversion program, court-driven. I was the architect of it. And as a result, since then, $300 million has gone into the hands of landlords and tenants. 46,000 households were helped. People kept roofs over their heads. Landlords and tenants both benefited from those funds from the federal government. We prevented the tidal wave of evictions. There was a 93% resolution rate for landlord-tenant cases before they were even filed. I focused on equity and access to justice because of the disproportionate impact that our court was having on Black and Hispanic folks in Philadelphia. We have a courtroom that processes judgments for debt cases. We're trying to break the cycle of somebody having a judgment against them and then trying to get an apartment, and they get denied, and then they end up in substandard housing. So we've been focusing on trying to reduce default judgments and judgments, and encouraging people to come to court to have their case heard on the merits versus having a judgment entered against them. So why was I focusing on all of these things since I became the supervising civil judge in 2020? Because my background is in civil rights. For 25 years before becoming a judge, I was a civil rights trial attorney, and I represented people against powerful interests, employers. And sorry, Carlos, that you find civil rights boring. So that appeared in the chat. But I find civil rights to be very exciting and very important. I represented a lot of women in discrimination cases. I litigated pregnancy discrimination, quid pro quo sexual harassment, hostile work environment cases, and I tried the cases to juries, and I was successful. So for 25 years, I was a civil rights trial attorney. I was also in the military while I was an attorney, and I'm still in the military. While I was in the military, United States Army Reserve, I was a JAG, and I served in Iraq and Afghanistan. I had 3 years of active duty. I earned a Bronze Star while I was in Iraq, and I earned the next highest award when I was in Afghanistan, the Defense Meritorious Service Medal. So I'm proud of my military service. I transferred in 2020 to the Pennsylvania Army National Guard, and I went from being a JAG to a Cavalry Scout soldier. I'm a Cavalry Scout soldier now. I serve the 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year. That started in January 2020. Within 5 months, due to civil unrest, I was deployed to the streets of Philadelphia. I don't know if you know Kensington and Allegheny, but I was stationed in Kensington for a week with my Alpha Troop, basically a company with our Humvees, so that the folks who live there could get diapers, could go to the store, could get groceries. And we were there to make sure that people could go about their business. Kensington, Allegheny is the opioid ground zero for the country. It's one of the roughest places in the country. We saved 26 people from overdoses while we were there for that 1 week with Narcan. So I'm proud of my military service here in Philadelphia, my military service abroad, and my 20 years of being in the military. Proud of my civil rights background and being a judge in Philadelphia. I think that qualifies me above all, above the other folks in the race, to be on the Commonwealth Court, which deals with constitutional issues like those that I've been dealing with for 30 years. So I really appreciate the opportunity to address you all.
Thank you so much, Judge. I want to give Aisha like 2 minutes to speak. She is running in Philadelphia. So Aisha, if you want to jump on real quick, because we have some questions for the judges.
Can I address one question that had been raised in the chat? The question was about juveniles in the criminal justice system. I'm just going to address that real quick. What we do to address that: first, juvenile justice is not technically criminal, it's civil, and it's family court that usually deals with that. But in the event that it is really serious, one of the things that the Commonwealth Court can do is address equity in education. And about 4 weeks ago, the Commonwealth Court concluded a trial that dealt with whether education funding in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania was equitable. And they determined, a judge on the Commonwealth Court, the court that I'm running for, determined that the equity lacked in the way that education is funded in Pennsylvania, and found that it was unconstitutional under the Pennsylvania Constitution, and ordered that the legislature address the issue. And they're now grappling with that. When it comes to juvenile crime, if you don't educate kids, then they're going to have no choice but to go down the wrong path. If you give them a good education and a solid foundation along with other things, then they're going to do better in life. So one of the things that can be done is something that court that I'm running for did.
Judge Wolf, I'm so sorry. I have to go into this next meeting. I just want to say I'm a member of the Latino caucus. I know that you guys don't endorse for city races, you do statewide races. I'm really committed to your causes, and I really want to make sure that the issues that are the issues of the Latino community are addressed citywide. So I'm running for city council in the 5th council district, and I'm hoping that I can get your support in my race. So I got to go into this next meeting. I love you guys. I love your work. I'm so impressed with what you're doing, and keep up the great work. Take care.
I'm sorry if I ate into your time. I apologize.
That's okay.
No problem. No problem. That was important. People need to know about the Commonwealth Court. No problem.
Okay, real quick, I know we're almost ending this shortly. So I guess I would go ahead and, where is he at? It's funny. Pastor Cortez, if you want to ask your question, si quiere te hace la pregunta.
Sí, tengo una pregunta y sé que la mayoría de los pastores que están con nosotros y otros pastores de Pensilvania tienen la misma inquietud sobre lo que está pasando ahora con lo del aborto, con lo de la libertad religiosa, ¿verdad? Y con todo esto que está sucediendo también con lo de los LGTB. ¿Cuál es la posición de cada uno de ellos respecto a esos temas? Más lo que nos preocupa un poco más es lo del aborto.
Okay. So, ¿tú quieres que yo pregunte solamente lo de aborto o tiene dos preguntas?
El aborto y sobre lo que tiene que ver con la libertad religiosa.
Okay. Déjeme preguntarle. Okay, this is a question from the pastor, and there's several pastors here, and just to let you know that some of them are on the Republican side as well, because they decided that they wanted to know more about politics and they wanted to know about the stance. The first question is, what are your thoughts about abortion and your stance? And then the second one has to do with the religious rights. So, Judge Wolf, I might as well let you go first.
Okay, so let's pick a real hot topic for Judge Wolf. Abortion. So the issue has been litigated on the federal level, and then it's probably coming down to the states across the country. And so the issue is probably going to be before the Commonwealth Court. So this Zoom is being recorded, and I should not express any personal opinions as a judge regarding the issue. But what I would say is that as a liberal Democrat, I'm in favor of a woman's right to sovereignty over their body, and that they should be able to make decisions regarding reproduction on their own, and that the government should have very much less to do with it than the Republicans want. So any Republicans on the Zoom, I respectfully disagree with your party's positions on that issue. With regard to religion, I believe in separation of church and state, that people should be left to freely worship as they wish, not subject to government interference, but that religion and government should not mix under the Constitution of the United States and also the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. There is a separation of church and state. So I don't personally allow religion to play a role in my decision making. I have values that I would apply, but I would not ground them in the religious context. I would ground them in reason and the law. So that's where I stand on religion and the government.
So right now we have is Neff, if he'd like to take a stab at that.
So I will mirror what Judge Wolf said. You know, we're not allowed to tell you how we're going to rule on something when we're in court, but I will freely tell you I'm pro-choice. I believe it's the right of a woman to make the decision as to how she's going to control her body. With regard to questions of religion, again, I agree with Judge Wolf that, you know, religion really shouldn't be a part of what we do. We do bring our values to the table. I'm Jewish, and I come with Jewish values to the table, and I will, you know, I let them serve me in arriving at decisions, but decisions are ultimately based on rule of law and how we apply the law to the facts that are presented to us in any given case. And quite honestly, in every single case, they are different. And so you can't necessarily expect the same result in each case either. But where religion is concerned, I put my religious beliefs away when I'm on the bench, because what I have to do is apply the law.
Thank you so much. Real quick, I just want to, I mean, we're almost at the end of the hour. I just wanted to thank all the judges that did come. It's a learning process for some of the community that are in the religious realm. And I just wanted to have them come so they could learn. Some of them don't speak good English, so I'll have to probably make a translations after I listen to the recording, so like that they can get a copy of everything. And real quick, is there anybody else has any questions for the judge before we resume? Because I wanted to give everybody a chance.